The Expensive Marriage Ending, Part 1 down below. I've checked her phone. There has been a lot of contact with a married male coworker, and while it's possible something happened there, I doubt it. She's friends with his wife as well, and considering she spent every major holiday alone, except Christmas with her family, that would be a pretty crappy affair. Although, it's possible it's entirely of the emotional variety. On that note, she let me know today that she notarized her paperwork and asked to serve me this week. Interestingly, when I checked the phone records the last couple of days, there were a flurry of calls between her and the coworker right before she called the pawn shop yesterday, pawning her ring I would guess, and the notary service today, so she is in some way using his emotional support and guidance to get through this. In terms of the 180, I didn't do that at all the first 2 months. I was constantly texting, chatting, and telling her over the phone that I loved her and wanted to make this work. I told her I'd started seeing a therapist the week after she moved out and gave her a very fair plan for how we could work on our marriage. All it got me were pics of onesies and how much she hated seeing that stuff now, texts telling me how lonely she was or just being ignored. I only stopped initiating after sending a heartfelt email and making a grand gesture that got me a text saying she'd started to fill out the divorce paperwork. Interestingly, the next 2 weeks after that, she initiated more than she ever had before, but even then, when I asked for a meeting or invited her out Halloween weekend so she wouldn't be alone, she declined or told me she would just end up breaking down in tears if she was around me. Kind of at odds with someone that later said she was ready to file the first week after moving out, but I'm sure she's struggling with this too, and it's helpful to form a narrative that protects you and your decision. The one exception was Christmas, her birthday. As I wrote about on this site, I did send her an email and covers of 2 songs. I'm a musician. That meant a lot to us. She responded, "Thank you so much for your email. It meant a lot to me." Was there some magic bullet out there in the ether that could have gotten her to agree to sit down with me and work on this? Probably, but it would have been almost impossible to get all the steps right in order for that to happen. A friend told me that her contacting me might actually increase from this point forward. Do you all agree? My friend thinks she'll do so in order to work extra hard at getting to me to be her friend. For anyone reading that's been through the entire divorce process, what steps need to be taken after we've both turned in our initial paperwork? I think where I live there is at least one more set of papers that need to be served, the discovery portion. I'm trying to figure out the next steps I want to take in my life, but I want to be available for anything needed for the divorce. About exposing. I guess I could, but what if I'm wrong? What if she's calling his number but getting advice from him and his wife? Plus, I'm not sure what kind of positive outcome it would create. It's tempting, though, to plant that seed and just see what the fallout is. The degree of contact is pretty staggering. Since she moved out, she's only really communicated with him. And I mean, a lot. Dialed and received calls going out at all times of the day, 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. My theory is that he's interested in her beyond emotional support and she's too naive to see it. She was terrible about knowing when guys were interested. Hitting on her when we were together, he definitely sent signals like telling her she looked really good in a bikini at his birthday party. I don't know, how would I even approach such a thing? Just send her a message on Facebook. Mail her a copy of the phone records. It seems like a zero-sum game. In terms of my plan, we already live apart and have for the past 4 months. I'm not really concerned with fighting over money. I would love to keep her, but at this point, I'm at a loss for what else I could do. I guess I could take a chance that cheating is happening and expose it, but I'm not sure even that would have the desired effect. I thought about the longest we've gone with absolutely no contact up to this point, and it was around 9 days. That's really nothing when I think about it, even though it felt like an eternity. We really haven't given ourselves the chance to see what life is like without one another. I talked with my therapist last night and basically said that after I sign off on the divorce, I'm going to give it a solid month without anything. At that point, it's like you said, either she'll reach out to me or she never will. I really don't know what to make of the contact with the married coworker. It's possible it's something more than friendship or shop talk. They're both graphic designers, as is his wife, but I don't think that really fits. The NI exchange was on the low end of that kind of thing, but it definitely applied. The first 2 months were fraught with exactly those kind of exchanges, with me almost always playing the role of rescuer and her victim and persecutor. I guess I just don't understand her initiating contact at all at this point for anything other than divorce stuff. Incidentally, I got a text right after reading your post from her and her friend that will be my process server. It's going down tonight at a coffee shop. I'm really sad and not looking forward to it, but I guess I didn't have a chance from the start of this at salvaging the relationship. I still feel like there's more to it that I don't know, but now I probably never will. Well, I now have my divorce paperwork. It was a surreal experience and not what I expected. Her friend was actually really empathetic and seemed sad about everything. She gave me a big hug, said she was really sorry, and asked how I was. When I asked her about my STBXW, she said, "She's good, I think. It's tough. Going to try to fill out the paperwork quickly and get it back to her so this can just move forward and run its natural course. Feel some relief but mostly just sadness. In the state I reside, a process server can be a friend. It can also be someone designated by the courts or via mail that requires a signature. So, this is all legit for my state. In terms of joint assets and marital property, we decided those things amicably. I don't foresee us arguing about any of that in the future. I do find the level of communication to be very odd. As an example, there were 5 phone calls between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. when I was served last night for a total of about 47 minutes, and then another call near midnight that was 15. It is odd, but there are other explanations besides an affair. It's possible she's getting advice from both him and his wife or they're helping her cope. My STBXW also does freelance graphic design work and has helped him get work in the past. All that being said, yeah, if nothing else, it's incredibly fishy and I can't imagine the wife knows the extent of the communication. That's a lot of time to be giving to someone else, even if the wife is aware of it. And he did get super pissed with his wife when she slipped my STBXW drugs at his birthday party and complimented her appearance. Plus, he always seemed uncomfortable around me. It could be that was because she had said negative things about me, or it could be because he is pining over her. It's probably wasted effort to think about it, but if it has happened, I do feel like it would help me both understand why she did this and move on. Is it wrong for me to wish it ends horribly if there is something happening? I'm not really interested in a relationship with anyone right now. I think I just need to figure out what I want from this new reality first and focus on me and my career. I haven't initiated contact since Christmas and since New Year's. She's only contacted me once about setting up divorce-related things. I started filling out the paperwork, which is a tough thing to do, but I plan on finishing it this weekend and mailing it back to her on Monday. Got a little delayed with the paperwork, a bit more involved than I anticipated, but it's all filled out now. Going to get the part that needs a notary done tomorrow and send it to her. Just looking for advice. For those of you that have gone through this, how long does it take before the feelings of loss, sadness, and anxiety start to fade? And what did you folks do to help in the recovery process? I've been more outgoing these past 4 months than since before I met my STBXW. It helps some, but coming home to an empty apartment and not having that person there to share my life with is the hardest part. I can't imagine being with anyone else right now, and I think I'd be a terrible date. I'll likely hold off on that kind of thing until I get some things figured out and heal a bit more. I'm still waiting for that light bulb moment to come, but perhaps it'll be just a bit longer. Working out sounds good, and I've done a bit of that, though less than before. Travel sounds like a good idea as well. I too think I'd be a terrible date. Just trying to get to know someone sounds exhausting, and I'd probably endlessly compare the person to my STBXW. Is zero commitment bonding actually possible? Sorry, I probably sound naive, but I spent the past 11 years with one woman with whom it was always more. STBXW texted today for an update and asked when I thought we should start separating insurance, cell phone plan, etc. She said I was on her health insurance until mid-March, so I think that's a good time to make a clean break of everything. Maybe do some of the other stuff in the interim. I think the big thing for me with the idea of dating is, can I possibly do better? My STBXW is very pretty, smart, funny, etc. at the same time. She has her insecurities that made it tough. It's just weird. I keep looking at other stories on here about what ended marriages, and it always seems like there was some big thing, infidelity, abuse, etc. And I just don't feel like we had that. I guess her perspective is different, but it makes a guy nervous about future dating prospects. Interestingly, I had an opportunity last night for a hookup. I'm a pretty good singer and went to a karaoke bar for fun, and this woman, very young woman, was all about me after one song. It was a nice ego boost, but also a needed check-in to know that I'm not really ready for it yet. Still, she was super attractive, and it was nice to know I can still be desirable to a woman. I'm trying to get to the point where I can have adult fun and not feel guilty if think about her. I had a golden opportunity last week but couldn't quite bring myself to act just yet. I've looked into the health insurance in relation to a divorce for my state, and it seems nothing should change while the divorce is in process. However, in the interest of really moving forward, I might just go along with her mid-March plan depending on if I can acquire insurance at that time. It's definitely been a roller coaster. I had a decent weekend, probably the best since she moved out, but there are still long periods of time where I just end up thinking about what if. And her. Great call on staying busy with my life as a means to not think about hers. On Monday night, my STBXW texted me a simple hi. That was it. I didn't respond, and she didn't follow up with anything else since. What possible reason could she have for doing that? My filled out paperwork should have arrived the next day, and she knew that on Monday, so I just don't understand the contact. Was she just lonely? Is she still trying in the vain hope we can be friends? I'm actually doing pretty well all things considered, but that definitely threw me for a loop. I would like to expose it if it's happening, but there's always the potential that I'm wrong. I think that's what worries me. Incidentally, she texted me once again last night with a simple hi. It's phishing, I get that now, thanks Honcho for pointing it out before. I'll probably need to just tell her that I'm okay and to please only text or call me if it's something about the divorce in order for that to stop. Even then, I've said that before and it doesn't stop her. Maybe ignoring is the best way to go. It sure seems that I might be plan B. She called me 6 times in a row last night. I didn't pick up a single time and she didn't leave a message. Not sure what to make of it. I'm doing my best to focus on my career and keeping myself busy. It's been going pretty well, but those calls definitely threw me. I guess I'll just have to expect this kind of thing for a while. Man, this crap is tough to deal with. She texted me Saturday night, then again last night, and then proceeded to call me 4 times with a follow-up text after I didn't answer that said, "Please call me." I don't really know what to do. If it were serious or divorce-related, she would have just come out and said what was going on or what she needed as she has in the past. Do I just ignore her? Send a short, terse email saying something to the effect of, "Papers are filed, so if this isn't about the divorce then you need to please respect my wishes to not have contact." I just stupidly assumed that she wouldn't do this, that some thread of respect or care for me might still exist and she would listen when I said we couldn't be friends. I guess I was wrong. She texted again today, but this time to say she wanted to talk about dividing up the car and health insurance and cell phone plans. I find this hilarious, infuriating because we had this conversation a month ago. She said I was scheduled to go off the health insurance in mid-March and I said that it made sense to keep things the same until then. A clear line of demarcation. Now, after 2 weeks of sending texts that say hi or questioning why I look at her Instagrams but won't respond to those texts, and calling me repeatedly on 2 occasions, she suddenly claims that she wants to talk about something we already discussed. I told her about how in our state health insurance is technically supposed to stay on for 6 months after the divorce is final, but that I'd waive that if she wants and take her off the car insurance whenever she's ready. She responded that we could keep everything as is and that she assumed I just wanted to be done. Like, what the hell is this crap? I've given her total control over the entire situation and agreed to do these final steps whenever she wanted. And somehow, I'm the guy that's wanted to be done. This feels like just another manipulation. At any point in the past 2 weeks, she could have come out and said she wanted to talk about changing these things, despite us having already discussed it, and gotten a swift response. She knows this because every time she's been direct about needing something for the divorce, I've responded immediately, true to my word. Ugh, this is just baffling to me at this point. Is this just her being dishonest and using the illusion of needing to discuss these matters just so she can have some form of contact with me? I feel like she's now using the divorce as a means to keep me on the hook in terms of communication, which is really messed up. I'm getting my own cell phone plan this weekend. It sucks with the health insurance because I'm not sure I can even get my own at this point in the calendar year, so I'd prefer to just stay insured during this, but I don't want it serving as an open invitation for contact either. Today is by far the worst day I've had with this in a while. I need to figure out something I can do to take my mind off it, but I'm not sure what that is. I was doing so much better prior to the past 2 weeks, but her texts and now claiming we need to talk about this again. She knows exactly how to mess me up. I just don't get it. I'm a good person, and even if things didn't work out, I would have thought she could have handled this with professionalism and respect. Is this just how these things go? Even after we sort this out, should I expect efforts by her to talk to me? And if so, how do I stop it? Do I just have to become a jerk about it in order for it to stop? Is that what she wants, for me to become the bad guy? It's affecting me in other ways now too. I had a meeting yesterday about something I've written and was so frazzled that I think I signed an unfair agreement. Divorce. Wow, does it suck. I finally signed up for my own cell plan today. Did not go smoothly at all. Since I'm on her plan, I needed her PIN to change my line to the new carrier and keep my number. I didn't have it, tried to call her, no answer, sent a text. Sat in Sprint store for 20 minutes, and just when I was going to get a new temp number, she texted it back to me. Get all the way through the process and it turns out my phone is locked and only she can authorize an unlock. Called again, no answer. The rep, probably doing something on So Kosher, calls cell company and acts like her to help me out. It works, to a point, but now they have to do an investigation to see if my phone can be unlocked. That won't conclude until at least February 7th, and I'm without any phone use in the meantime. So, I got home and sent her an email telling her what had happened and that she's going to get an email on the 7th form with info about whether or not my phone is unlocked and to please let me know what they say. I went on to tell her that we should keep both insurances, car and health, as is during the process. Lastly, I said that texts like hi, one's asking why I look at her Instagrams and don't respond to texts, and calls with no messages have to stop, and that she needs to be direct and keep it to talk of divorce or the possibility of reconciliation. I've been a fool most of the time, holding to hope where none really existed. That's partly her fault for saying she might consider therapy, and that she had 6 months once the divorce was filed to change her mind, but at this point it's over. Dealing with the financial realities is harder. I'm not sure how I can swing it presently, so I'll need to make major life changes in the very near future. So, I saw my therapist last night, and he recommended that I set up a face-to-face meeting with her as a means of closure. What is everyone's thoughts on this? I still feel love for her, and I'm pretty frazzled by her telling me she missed me, so I don't think I could do it for a while. But in general, does this seem like a good idea? I guess I'm just worried about managing my expectations knowing how I feel. I used to get angry all the time and it was a problem in our relationship. I worked on it and found other ways to express myself. However, and though I might not convey it here, there have been plenty of times where I've wanted to flip out on her, tear her down, call her names and all that. I haven't, in part because I know that's emblematic of the person I used to be, roughly 3 to 4 years ago, and it would give her ample reasons for this to be the right choice, whatever the hell that means. But even today, part of me wants to call her up and destroy her world or expose what is likely an emotional affair. I have seriously considered contacting the wife of the guy and just saying something like, "While it's great he's there for her so much, I do find it odd that he's talking to her at 3 a.m. rather than being in bed next to you. I'm sure something is there, at least an emotional affair. The guy's a freaking troll too and a lot older than her. She'd have to be pretty stupid to get involved with him." Logistics question pertaining to divorce. My case is listed as pending on the court's online database, and the only 2 forms listed as filed are her petition and summons. I was served a little over a month ago and sent them back to her about 9 days later per her instructions. In our state, you have 60 days to file the rest of your paperwork after the initial filing. That was 54 days ago, so it's fast approaching. Is it possible the other forms have been turned in but that the site hasn't updated yet? For reference, it showed her petition and summons just 2 days after she filed. Are the forms maybe being reviewed before they're posted? I realize that this might be beyond the scope of this site, but I'm trying to figure out if I should check with the courthouse and then with my STBXW about this to see if something is amiss or she's failed to turn in the necessary documents. So, after doing more digging, it seems like that the 60-day rule isn't actively enforced. Strange that it would even be considered a rule then. I'm sure she knows this too. I haven't made it to the courthouse to know for certain if she hasn't turned it in. But I can't imagine the court's database would be this slow to update. It puts me in such a crappy situation. I still want the opportunity to reconcile, but at the same time I can't just sit around and wait for her to actually turn the paperwork in. For reference, it's been slightly over a month since she received my paperwork back per the instructions I received. I'm sure some would tell me to file the response and rest of it on my own, but I don't have the originals anymore because I sent those back to her. Is this yet another manipulation? I can't imagine that anything would make her too busy to do this. It's the most important thing going on in her life, hands down, even if she has started with someone new. Hell, even more so if she has. No guy wants to be starting a relationship with a married woman who refuses to finalize her divorce. I have to reach out to her sometime soon anyway to talk about doing our taxes. But damn, if she hasn't turned in the stuff I will be so pissed because it'll be obvious that she once again wants me to push her into doing it. She turned them in last Friday, the last possible day she could do it before the 60 days were up. 60 days would have been Sunday. Part of me regrets not responding to her texts or picking up her phone calls at the beginning of the month. But the logical side of me says that she was probably just looking for a push from me to do it or making one last effort to convince me to be her friend. She clearly had reservations up to the last minute because she waited almost an entire month after I sent them to her to file the rest of the papers. I checked the phone records one last time and at midnight the night before she had a 108-minute call with a new number, but who knows if one of the random numbers texting her all this time was this person using another line. I found the owner and it's a guy. He's a bit older than me and laughably is in the same industry, with less success. Everyone was right. I was plan B until something came along to make this easier, safer for her. I just don't get how she could go for someone that does the same things I do. I will run fast from anyone that has the same career as her. I just found out, so this is really fresh and I'm a weird mixture of anger, sadness, anxiety, and somewhere in there, relief. Not that I'm actually getting divorced and have a clear date ahead of me when that's going to happen, but that maybe, just maybe, the roller coaster is over and I can move forward without wondering if there's something I can do to fix this. One thing that really pisses me off is that she didn't have the decency to tell me. It's been 4 full days and not a peep. I get that maybe the first couple days she might have been reeling too and sorting through her own emotions. But by Monday, come on, tell me, I deserve to know when I'm officially divorced. I guess I'm looking for advice on where to go from here. I've been doing better, not great, but baby steps. I found a new place to live over the weekend that will relieve a ton of financial stress and things are progressing nicely thus far with the TV idea I option. I have had no real desire to date, but I guess this could accelerate that. How did anyone else on here cope? Find healthy ways to move forward when finality came after things being dragged out. Lastly, in the interest of being prepared, and this might not happen at all, what would anyone's advice be if at some point between now and August 17th, or even after the divorce is decreed, she shows interest in talking about us or possibly working on things? I'm not even sure how I'd feel if that came to pass, but it does seem like a lot of posters on this board experience some form of this. I'd imagine if things don't go well with this new guy that she'll probably reach out. I guess I would need to clarify my own feelings, and right now, yeah, I'd probably be open to it. Gosh, this really sucks. I feel like a fool for allowing myself to be treated so poorly for the past nearly 6 months by someone that once upon a time loved me more than anyone. All the contact, all the perceived mixed signals, were really just her seeking edification for the decision she'd made. I was a puppet on a string that was there to play with whenever she needed, and then when I stopped letting her, she finally just did it. Oh well, I'm mostly just rambling now, but it hurts. She'll probably be pregnant within the year or at some point try to get me back. Either way, I'm going to be getting a punch to the gut at some point. I'm trying to take 100% responsibility for myself and just move on. It's going to be a bit longer before I'm totally there, but I've come a long way from nearly 6 months ago. She's done it according to the court's website, so I see no point in going to the courthouse now. I'm just profoundly disappointed and pissed off by the fact she didn't have the decency to tell me. I guess I just have to wish her the best with the new relationship and let go of all feelings associated with her. Quick update. My STBXW still has not told me that she turned in the rest of the paperwork. It's been 2.5 weeks and frankly, I'm shocked, disappointed, angry and hurt. I guess I shouldn't be giving her penchant for avoidance, but it seems like not only the decent thing to do, but the responsible thing as well. I found a new place to live and will be moving in over the next few weeks. It's brought up a lot of emotions. In general, I'm doing much better, but I still wake up with an anxious feeling and get triggered daily. No communication at all with her since I sent my email the day after Valentine's Day, which she didn't respond to, and it's been a month since we both said we missed one another. I'm working on acceptance, but it's been tough. Still have to file taxes, but I'm holding off on emailing her about that until I get settled into my new place. Hopefully, she doesn't file taxes on her own in the meantime, thinking that's allowed. My therapist suggested I start making memories with someone new. I've been doing okay with work. At first it was kind of a haven because it allowed me to focus on something other than my sadness. It's less of that now, but I've still managed to keep up with everything, thank goodness. A job loss at this time would be pretty crummy. Some hurt tonight as she unfriended me on Facebook and unfollowed me on Instagram. Also, to add fuel to the fire that her and her coworker were involved. He unfriended me at almost the exact same time, so it seems coordinated. In addition, he changed his relationship status from married, with his wife's name, to no relationship info to show. His wife also changed hers to married and removed his name from it and deleted all but one photo of the two of them together. There used to be hundreds. Where there's smoke there's fire and all that. Going on a date for self-esteem could be good, but like you, I've always dated to be serious, or at least entertain the possibility. That complicates things a bit. Part of me wants to go the casual route and be really upfront and honest about that with women I date, but the other part wonders if I'm capable of that. Guess there's only one way to find out. I'm still fairly young, so everyone tells me anyway, and have kept myself in shape over the years. Weeks later, a quick update for those interested. I moved into a new place about a week and a half ago. Immediately went on a work trip for a week, so only the past few nights have been in the new space. Some relief that I'm out of the old apartment, but I've definitely been experiencing longing for my STBXW. Outside of one email last week from her asking if she could pick up a package she mistakenly sent to our old address, we have had no contact since early February. It's mostly been good, as it was terribly draining every time she initiated, but I really do miss her. Not telling her that, but while it's gotten easier, it's still hard. I've had some good progress with the show I optioned, and things will hopefully really get moving in April. My 9-to-5 has ramped up my responsibilities, which is good because now I feel like I have more job security. I've used some of the online dating apps and gotten a pretty good response, but still haven't found the courage to actually meet up with someone in person. I'm probably going to end up relying on meeting some face-to-face first, but it's a nice confidence boost to know interest is there. My new roommates threw me a welcome dinner tonight, and while the food was great and overall, it was a good time, it made me realize just how much my life has changed in the span of 7 months. As I sit here writing this, for the first time in a long time I have that anxious feeling that is very reminiscent of what I felt right after she left. I still really miss her, and I think being around a bunch of other people was jarring and reminded me of all that went up in smoke. Things have been going great. New place is working out. Went on a date last Friday that was fun, but no real sparks on my end. That was ideal actually. I got to get back out there and not of the pressure or expectation of feelings. And then I come home tonight after playing music with a friend and see this email from my STBXW. I received notice today that the paperwork was found to be null, and therefore we have to start the process over, including the 6-month wait time. I am going to hire a lawyer to redo everything and will keep you posted. What the hell? Seriously, I don't even begin to understand what the hell this is. I mean, we were 3 months to do the day until our divorce was supposed to be final. I was finally accepting it, dealing with triggers much better and adapting, even enjoying, my new life. And now I have to go through the entire process all over again. Getting served, filling out documents, notarizing my paperwork. Not to mention, being freaking legally married to someone I haven't even seen in 8.5 months to date. This is just nutting. I mean, how do I even respond to that? I want to demand to see the notice she received and ask that we do everything in our power to make the original timeline stick. I never wanted this divorce, but damn, if this is reality, just get it over and done with. I don't want to go through the whole crappy thing again. Half a year later, judgment package was received by the court on August 21st, so I guess we're just waiting for them to enter it and so it can be completed. Pretty relieved it's finally all done. Do need a bit of advice. My ex-W reached out to me last week to ask if I could take back the cat she took when she left. She claimed he was lonely, she's not home enough, and that he misses our other cat, which I kept. After some contemplating, I responded that I couldn't at this time, but maybe in a few months I could take him back. Totally the truth, as my housing situation is touchy at the moment. Anyway, a few of my friends have said that I shouldn't do it because they sense this was her way of creeping back into my life. It would be easy to say no flat out if I didn't love the cat, but I do. I asked what her plan for him was if I couldn't take him, and she said she didn't have a plan. Then she sent another email thanking me for responding and considering it, and that it meant a lot to her. I'm pretty pissed about it, to be honest, and think it shows a lack of character and understanding of what she did. Of course, the cat is upset and misses me and his friend. How could she not have known this going in? And then to say she's not home enough and somehow made this my responsibility. In terms of my female friend, I grew having more female friends than male, but when I met my ex-W that changed. She never really had the tolerance for it and would get anxiety and jealous if I talked to a woman. To a certain extent, that's understandable. But I think most married people have friends that are of the opposite gender without too much trouble. I think we can all agree that as you get older, making friends is increasingly difficult. There are just fewer opportunities to find people you click with once you're out of school, have a full-time job. Was there some temptation? Yes, and I think that's a normal part of life and being human, especially when things are tough. But if anything, it just made me create clearer boundaries about the types of interactions we'd have, so it stayed just a friendship. No, I didn't share things with this person that I didn't share with my wife. We honestly only talked about entertainment because it was something we both worked in, but I never talked about my dreams, past, or aspirations with her. I never talked badly about my ex-W or any issues we were having with my friend. That was for me and my wife. This person tried to open the door to more by talking about her issues with her boyfriend, but I just offered advice and only had good things to say about my wife and our relationship. After about 3 months, I just stopped talking to her altogether. My ex-W had many male friends and only one relationship bothered me. Toward the end, she told me about conversations her and a male coworker had about our relationship, and he had expressed that he thought going out on dates, to dinner, movie, etc. weren't exciting enough. He was married at the time, since divorced, and would rage nearly every night even though he was a decent bit older than both of us. It hurt at the time, and in hindsight I should have taken this as a huge omen for what was to come, but I think I misread my ex-W. She said that she didn't agree with him, but deep down I think she wanted more excitement. She didn't live the life of a normal 20-something because she was married nearly the entire time, and I think the idea of going out to clubs and party, or even just being single, had always been a what-if scenario for her. We'd had discussions about it throughout our relationship, and whenever I asked if she would have rather had that life, she always said no, but admitted that adulthood had come really fast for her. Maybe more than anything it was just a need to be free to do whatever she wanted that ended us. I say that with no judgment either. I think that's a completely valid want, and in light of me expressing doubts about having kids, I'm sure she said to herself, "What is the point of all this then?" I did suggest MC soon after she left. I actually gave what I thought was a very reasonable plan. We'd go to therapy for a 2-month period while living apart. If at any time one of us thought it wasn't going to work, we would walk away. At the end of the 2 months, if we made it there, we could assess where we were at and either continue with therapy or go our separate ways. The rest of my posts talk about how that went. She said she would consider it but didn't do it, and the toxic communication we kept up for the next 6 months after. Oddly enough, her mom contacted my mom today out of nowhere to say she was really sad and upset about what had happened and hoped we were both okay, meeting me and my ex-W. It really bothered me. 1. At no point during this past year did she reach out to me to say anything. After 11 years, that seems rather messed. 2. Saying you hope your daughter is okay is just odd. Why don't you know if your own daughter is okay? Do you not talk to her and ask her? I had a really bad upbringing, but my mom still takes the time to check in now and then. The divorce is final at this point, or at least everything is in the last I checked, and we're just waiting for the judge to sign, so it's all settled now. My life is kind of a whirlwind right now, so I've been thinking about her a lot lately. I do hope she's doing well and happier. My comments: OP needed some time to detach. He is doing it a bit too slow, but he should come out of this being alright. One thing most of these guys don't know: you can't beg a woman back. You can't beg anyone to be with you. That's it. If they want to be, they will be there with you.